I'm going to start from the home page just because I want to show you guys how I got to the dashboard. So this dashboard is currently live, but also we're still making some adjustments to it. So if you do, notice any errors or something's wrong with it, please put a ticket in and we will address it. So I clicked on the report listing on my home page, and then it took me to the folder, and I went to Accounts Payable. And so this is the Accounts Payable Dashboard. It's, it's very high level, and then you can drill down depending upon what you're looking for. And it does have data going back to 2023. So you can filter by fiscal year, department, or appropriation type. So I'm going to do the current fiscal year, and then I'm going to look at, let's go with the AGO's office. I'm just picking a random one. And then you'll see that the total encumbrances, disbursements, and the count of open encumbrances are here. And then if you wanted to go into one, you can just right-click over it. And then you want to go to drill through, and then click on details. Then it will take you to this other page. So I did the details just on that one vendor, so Todd and Weld. So then it shows you all the payments made to them if you clicked on their dollar amount. So I'm going to go back to the summary. So then there are these other vendors too. So if I did the same thing on any one of those, so you always want to right click, and then if you look for drill through, that's how you get to the details. And then they're all right here. So this vendor has, 2 payments, and it will even tell you if there's an intercept amount. This top one was already paid, and this one is still outstanding. So you can see that, and then we'll go back to there. And this will change for each department that you use. So we'll unclick that, and let's just pick another random one. I'm just going to scroll down a little higher, and let's just go to HRD. And then I like up here because it gives you like the brief overview. You can see, and there's the total open encumbrances amount is 2.39 million. So that's helpful to know too. Total disbursements, still working on this middle one. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But also right over here, it has the intercepts too, which I think is very helpful. Because I know when I was in department, we would get a lot of questions about intercepts, and I couldn't really answer them, but this will be helpful to you guys. And then, I'm just going to go right here because I want to drill through on this side, the top 10 disbursements. So these are like the dollar value. So again, I'm going to right click. Actually, that's just workman's comp. So that's not, I want to look for like a vendor. We'll go to here. So I'm going to drill through, and then again, details. And that shows you all the payments to this vendor. So this is also a good way so you can see the vendors. And then I'm going to go back. And so back takes me back to my reports. So I showed you the dashboard, it was pretty simple. And again, the dashboard is good because you can drill through and you can look at what you want to look at. The dashboard is live now. So if you have an accounts payable role, you should be able to see it. So I would recommend just going and, playing around with it, getting familiar with it. Drilling through is very helpful because that gets you down to like the details you need. So next up, I'm going to show the discount analysis report. So again, this is a report right within Mosaic. I like this one because I can filter by departments. Some of them you can't filter by departments. They do sometimes take a little bit to load. So you need to have patience that I don't actually have. So required, I'm going to go with DYS just because, that's where I spent most of my career. So it's easy for me. And it auto-populated this month. So I'm just going to go with it. But you can put any month. You can put the whole fiscal year if you want. I'm just going to do this month because if I put the whole fiscal year, it'll take a little bit to run. and I don't want to take up a lot of your time by just waiting. So we're just going to do this. And this is helpful, the discount report. Like at DYS, we were, wanted to know, like, if you missed any discounts, like all that stuff. So this is helpful. And it tells you the line amount, the actual discount taken. So this is basically, it's like the missed discount report. So these are all the discounts they missed in the month of April. So if anyone on DYS is on this, I'm sorry, I'm calling you guys out. But so this, will, I know this will like help the departments because I know a lot of them use it. At least we used to run a warehouse query for missed discounts. So, but now you can pull it right in Mosaic. So I'm just going to go back again just to show you. So just go back one more time. And so it's in report listings. And I will say my view, because I do have more view than a lot of people. So you might not see some of the things that I have. But the dashboard should be live for anyone who has the AP. And then these should be live shortly if they're not live now. I know this one is a comptroller report, the master disbursements, but the discount analysis report should be there. So you just click on the report, and then again, it takes a couple minutes, and then you put in your parameters. I'm going to show you guys one more department really quick, and then I'm going to give it over to Brian to show his budgets versus actuals, which I know a lot of you have been asking about. So that will be much more exciting than mine. So let's go with the AGO's office because it's right on top. And I'm just going to view report. So it does just, take a minute, but that wasn't too bad. So then here is the AGOs. And then also you can export the reports. So if you just click export, then you can select if you want it in Excel or PDF. I usually do Excel because then I like to filter. Some of the other reports you can't select the department, so you will want to export it and then filter by the department. So I'll show you I'll just export it right now real quick just to show you how it looks. So we'll see. And then I'm going to open it up. So, and then I'm gonna, let's see. Again, it's a little bit of waiting at times, but it's the same thing when you're, doing your warehouse queries. So it's opening it up. Then you'll have to do enable editing and everything. Here it comes. I also noticed that when you're sharing your screen, things are a little slower as well. So. Okay. So this is, it basically looks the same in the Excel. And now from once you have it in the Excel, you can then, filter by whatever you would like to. But this is already by department. So you can, if you should only have access to your department stuff. But I could hypothetically run a report with multiple departments and then pull from there if I wanted to do that to filter. But it has everything you need right here, and then you can just adjust it. I'm just going to X out of this because I do not want it. And then I'm back here. Then I'm going to go home. And that is all I have for you guys for the reports and the accounts payable dashboard. So I'm going to hand it over to Brian now.
Thanks, Tiffany. I'm going to try to share my screen. So hopefully you can see a blank web page that says My Apps. Let me know if you can't. Thanks, Tiffany. So I'm just going to go to Mosaic the usual way from the tile. And up on the top, there's a icon for report listing. I'm going to click that. And as Tiffany mentioned, we have statewide access, so we can help troubleshoot problems the Commonwealth is having. You guys probably will not have statewide access unless you're working for an oversight agency. But if you're a CFO or a budget director or a budget analyst, you'll likely have access to this budget folder. And within the budget folder are two of my favorite dashboards. Got the Appropriation Budget Dashboard and the Budget versus Actuals Dashboard. The combination of these two is our response to ASUM, which is not available in Mosaic. But I think you'll find that this Appropriation Budget Dashboard gives you all the same information. So I realize this is very tiny and hard to see. It's hard to see on my big monitor, so I'm going to blow it up in a second. But before I do that, I want to show you the filters on the top. So you can filter by fiscal year, cabinet, department, fund, appropriation type, appropriation, object class, and dormant status. So I'm going to go right to department. And I could pick from this long list of the whole Commonwealth, or you can just type. So I'm going to put in OSC. We'll pick on our own office for once. Now, I'm going to blow this up and explain why I think this is so similar to ASUM. So with ASUM, you used to be able to go in and punch in an appropriation, and it didn't matter whether it was subsidiarized or not. It would produce data in ASUM. This dashboard actually tells you right away what budget structure to look at, whether to go to BQ 81 or 89. So you can see here in the middle, there's a couple clues as to what budget structure to go to. So there's this BQ column, which tells you flat out whether it's 81 or 89. There's also the appropriation type. And you may or may not know that if it ends in an S, that stands for subsidiarized, which means it equates to BQ 81. These other appropriation types end in N, so they correspond to BQ 89. The other clue too is this object class column is populated for appropriations that have subsidiaries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a specific number here. So within our main appropriation, this 1,001, let's look at DD, for instance. See if I can scroll over a little bit. So I'm going to look at total expenses. So it reports $171,320 change. So what I can do now is if I don't believe that number, I can go check. And this report tells me what budget structure to go to. So I can go to BQ81 DD to verify that. And I don't want to lose my report, so I'm going to open another window. And if you don't already know how to do that, you can right-click on the home page icon, the little house, and it gives you a choice of opening in a new tab or a new window. I prefer tabs, so I'm going to open up one. And I'm going to go to BQ81 level 3. FY26, appropriation 1,001, department OC, object class DD. So that gives me one entry. I was specific enough to get only one. And within here, I've got a lot of information, but specifically if we want to look at cash expenses, you can see 100, whoops, sorry. Clicked where I shouldn't have. You can see 171,320 and 48 cents, which matches the value we had in the report. 171,320.48. So you also might find this is useful to export to Excel. We don't have an export button like Tiffany was showing off on this particular report, but what we do have is there's a tiny little menu all the way to the upper right, all the way in the upper right corner. Let me try to zoom in on that so you can see it. So right here, it's very small, but if I hover over the triple dot menu, it says more options. And within that, there's a menu that allows me to export data. And it looks like I've got 3 choices of how I want to export it. The third choice is not turned on currently, but the first 2 allow you to export it to Excel with or without formatting. So I'm not going to do it, but I can show you what it looks like because I did it a minute ago. So the first non-formatted option looks a bit like this. Same info as in the dashboard. It's just in Excel, and you can manipulate it to your heart's content. The formatted version looks like this, which is a little easier on the eyes. Same information. So that's the export functionality on that. I also want to show you another dashboard real quick. And as Tiffany was saying, I can hit reset selections and go back to define the criteria in this dashboard. Or if I hit back, it takes me all the way back to where the reports live. So still within the budget folder, I'm going to pick budget versus actual dashboard. Again, I'll try to make this big enough. So let's go for OSD again, under department. Now, this is a little different, this dashboard, because it's got some visuals. We've got a pie chart and a bar chart. The bar chart shows the difference between total available unspent balance and total encumbered and expended. So you might find that you want to analyze just one particular appropriation type. So you could select that here and pick 3TN to just look at trusts. Once you have that selected, you can also export these. You can't export the whole thing in one big chunk, but you can export these boxes. So like if I just want to look at top 10 cash expenses, which are only 3 because there's only 3 trust accounts under this department, that little tiny menu pops up again when you go to the upper right corner of one of these boxes, and you can click more options and export data, and you'll get a very simplified Excel version of just that particular box. And I think that's about everything I wanted to cover. Thank you for your attention.